Hello, everyone. Welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick, and over on the other side of the comms, of course, Justin, providing gameplay and audio wherever he sees fit. And
Gentlemen.
I'm actually joining along today. I generally don't go along in the stream videos. I usually just let him do it. But since we're covering Destiny, we often play Destiny together. I thought, hey, why not? I'll jump in for a game, which is a nice segue point in today's little, well, not little by any means, but today's topic. Yeah, let's go with topic.
Topic.
Which is indeed, which is the Game Awards, more specifically to do with Destiny's current uh, weird position they find themselves in related to the Game Awards. For those who don't know, well, we covered a video on it, but Bungie has had a massive string of layoffs in their community team, with a good chunk of their community team getting the axe, so to speak. Why is that problematic? Well, we covered that in previous videos, so I won't go too deep into it. But what's problematic about that, most specifically, most currently, is because a few weeks back, Bungie actually got nominated in the Game Awards. You know, the Emmys for gaming, for, of all things, community support.
And mind you, as of lately, Bungie's community support and community feedback and communication has been sparse and interesting.
Well, in fairness, in community engagement, or I should say, community support from those who are still left,
Yeah.
it's been it's been getting better. We've had personal streams with one of the big developers over at Bungie, who is or over at Destiny, who is kind of doing personal streams and going in the game and kind of talking about. We've gotten the twabs. You know, communication is getting better, but it does really strike as awkward when you win the community support award right after you just sacked a good chunk of your community team. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look
Something doesn't feel right in that situation.
like here's the thing, right? And this is a to say that this has been a mixed reaction is to put it mildly, right? Don't get me wrong. There are people who are saying that this game deserves the community award. This company, however, does not.
Yeah, the game does, the company does not. This does not feel right for Bungie to have it as of right now.
Because again, you've got a ton of people who are supporting the game when it comes to the community. We even have literally some developers coming out, both past and present, who are talking about this, mostly past because they're, away from Bungie's retribution. One of them even stated that, some of the big members that are still there have done a great deal of diverting and speaking out for the players, and when it comes to diverting of bad decision making. So again, it is one of those cases where the game deserves the community award, the company does not. So it is a mixed reception, to put it mildly. On one hand, great community support from those who are still there. On the other hand, it's from those who are still there. So, eh? And that
Here
kind
we
of leads us
go.
into an interesting point about the Game Awards, where I actually read on one of the articles that I linked down in the TWAB for you guys, or TWAB,
Link
that I linked
down
down
in the
this.
twab. What do you
I know.
mean by twid?
Shush you. That I linked down in the description for us. It was an interesting read, and it basically states that this is a year defined by the Game Awards, not by who got an award, but by who didn't. And Justin saying what game award doesn't, what award ceremony doesn't these days. I agree, but I think now in the game, what just happened?
I think you got bombed last moment.
maybe, or I just self-destructed.
I'm just gonna
But
say it right off the bat, though. New ability thing that I talked to you about is very overpowered already.
we'll see.
We'll see.
We were having a conversation about abilities and the stuff that came out in the actual TWAB literally before the stream. We're talking about
Yes,
what got
we'll get into that real quick in a moment.
just used it as a segue for Justin to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, no. As of right now, the award ceremony is interesting along the lines because of the circumstances that Bungie was not really put them. Well, they put themselves into it, but they what ended up happening with them laying off a chunk of their team overall, and with kind of how communications have been as of lately. It's been interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a very divisive moment, I would say, if nothing else.
Yeah, I divisive is a pretty good word for it. It doesn't it's unsettling for a lot of people. It doesn't Nothing feels right now.
Yeah, it is weird. Like I said, this is a year, my goodness, that is going to be defined by by not who got an award, but by just who didn't. Again, going
Who's
into
the
that,
ones
we kind
not
of
getting
have, for example,
awards?
all of Xbox's exclusive games. None of them got a mention. In fact, a good chunk of them have been flops as of recently. So it is kind of weird for Xbox to attend the awards despite not getting a mention in any category. It's going to be purely for um, optics at this point if they attend. Well, they will. It's proper manners to attend big weeks and stuff like that. I
It
imagine
does.
Phil Spencer will be there, but it's going to be awkward. Not going to lie for him. Even more awkward for Bungie, again, going back to that whole debacle, because again, it's weird to get a community support award right after laying off a good chunk of your community team. It does not send a good message. Dang it, you stole my kill.
Well, we are both getting kills here.
Maybe I should have switched to a... Oh, I'm going to switch to a different heavy. What can I use? Machine gun, perhaps. Use my hothead.
Perhaps. But yeah, the award ceremony was one of the two big nominations in the ceremony was both Bungie for Destiny and Warframe. Company name here.
Oh, DE?
D.
I
Yeah.
didn't...
Those were the two, I believe.
Dang it.
Didn't make it in time.
No, well, go on.
But yeah, I believe those were the two big names that were nominated for the award.
I do have a list.
Yeah, you've
Actually,
got a list of all the nominations?
not of all the nominations, because we'd be here all day talking about them.
But no,
just on
like
the
the
top...
nominations for this award.
Oh, community support?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean
do
that's
have
kind of the
this.
whole big topic today. So yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Warframe did not get nominated, although I'm
Uh,
sure the two communities are joking with each other about it.
yeah.
The actual list of nominations for this year's Game Awards, for community support anyway, go as follows. Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, it's been a interesting ride. I think Baldur's Gate 3 actually got Game of the Year award nomination as well, so that'll be interesting. I think it deserves it, honestly. I want to play that game whenever I get the chance to get it. Cyberpunk 2077, which, in fairness, that game deserves it. It has had one hell of a ride since it first came out. I mean, I've been playing it since it first came out. I enjoyed it, though, fairness, I also got it on PS5 instead of PS4, so I pretty much dodged a good chunk of the bugs, shall we say. So I got lucky, I suppose you could say. I only really had one bug that I can really think that I can really remember, and that was more of a comedic bug, if anything else, where I had a car literally come in hovering above the road, like a freaking flying car for a second. Which is unfortunate considering the game has flying cars canonically, but unfortunately we don't get to have any of them. I am very sad.
Very depressed.
Very depressed, oh boy. Going on, we have the aforementioned Destiny 2, which, again, we'll cover and continue to cover in the conversation.
Yep.
Final Fantasy Online. I'm not going to
I-
use its actual Roman numerals because, well, you know, that's a very long Roman numeral, and I'm not very confident in my Roman numeral.
Well, just tell me what the numerals are.
Nah, fine, your funeral. XIV.
So that it'd be more than 10. So we are I think 17.
Maybe. I don't remember what.
I remember there was a Final Fantasy 16, so it's either 16 or 17, but I'm pretty sure it's 17.
I don't remember what Roman numeral they gave Final Fantasy Online.
Oh right, online. I forgot which. Yeah, they set that one. They set that one to a different one. I think. Can't remember. Not nonetheless. Anyway. It was Final Fantasy.
And in fairness, that game does again deserve it.
Yeah.
Had a rocky launch at start. It literally had to get a full reboot of the game. Like, the game had to shut off and turn off and turn back on again. Oh shit, it's still alive. Why are you still here? I thought you left.
I thought you went to the other side.
Go back to your world. You are not welcome there. But so yeah, Final Fantasy Online again deserves it. It's one hell of a history. If you look into Final Fantasy Online, it's quite the colorful read. And finally, capping it off, we have No Man's Sky. Again, I would think it well deserved it. Again, we're just getting a long list of colorful reads in the Community Support Award category. And again, much like Final Fantasy and Cyberpunk, was marred with controversy at launch, came back from the grave, and quite the resurgence. Again, as always with the previous mentions, it's quite the read. Look into the story of No Man's Sky if you haven't heard about it, and if you haven't, I'm actually surprised. But,
yeah,
you might.
No Man's Sky is like serious levels of up and down all over the place development.
It was probably one of the biggest. It was probably one of the biggest horror stories that kind of kicked off the whole trend of games finishing in unreleased states, I think.
Yeah.
And it kind of defined the, I don't want to be the next No Man's Sky for a while. Till Cyberpunk came and replaced that. And then it turned into, I don't want to be the next Cyberpunk. But I digress. Anyways, that's kind of the entirety of the Game Awards. Sadly, no Warframe, of which I also play. I would also kind of been happy to see EDE get the shout-out. They certainly do quite a lot of community support. Much like Destiny and their TWABs, they have, of course, their monthly developer kind of recaps, and they kind of go over future content. They even have, at least, well, they did, it probably won't once they get a cross-play going on, a version of it over the course of said month for each of the individual platforms. And Warframe is basically on everything from PC to Switch to PlayStation, so there was at least 3 or 4 different, updates going on at the same time. Outside of the dev one, the main dev one. Obviously, once the game goes crossplay, that won't be probably necessary anymore because it'll all be on one singular development cycle, so there's really no point in updating individually. But who knows? Anyways, that kind of caps off the who has what in the community support tab. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, for the most part, the choices were reasonable. So I'd say it was all in the green there. Just some of the choices you thought might also be there, like Warframe, for example. You might have thought that one was there, but no, that wasn't the case. But other than that, I'd say it sounds good. Mind you, I didn't actually look at anything for the awards, so I did not pay attention. I actually didn't even realize it was that time of year again.
I always watch the Game Awards as of the last 3 years now, I think. So, we'll see. I will definitely be watching it when it comes time once again. Maybe Justin will be watching it with me. We'll see how it goes.
Maybe.
But long story short, it's interesting. Like I said, we will see how things go. I am personally kind of interested to see how this plays out. Like I said, it is awkward for Bungie going into this, being like, of all the game categories to get nominated, Bungie's the only one where it's like, this feels right, but at the same time feels oh so wrong. We will see how this plays out. I'm personally kind of curious to see. Funny enough, generally when people get nominated on the side, we also hear the big companies themselves, against Square Enix. I Hello Games. Yes, that's the one. What is that right in front of me? Why don't I just read out the names? CD, Lauren Studios. That's how you pronounce it. At least, sorry if I mispronounced it. You guys hear it? Usually when guys get nominated for the Game Awards, usually you see the companies come out and we're like, "Oh, thanks everybody, thanks for the nomination," yada yada. The usual typical pre-acceptance speech if they get a nomination. Because just being featured at the Game Awards for an award, even if you don't get it, it's a pretty big deal.
Right.
We didn't hear anything from Bungie.
Yeah, they didn't. I haven't heard anything from them about the Game Awards. Now that I think about it, I've only heard like the gaming community talk about it, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Which is again kind of a point of interesting content. Like, it is one of those moments where it's one of those moments where Bungie says anything, they're gonna get memed to hell and back. So it's probably smart of them not to say anything, and I imagine that's very much an intentional move as a result. But that's just my opinion on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to it, though, I mean, eh. I mean, they could try and say something. They probably will get memed to hell and back, but they could try. It's interesting though when you think about it, because one comment I read from someone, I don't remember who mentioned it, but I think I want to see if I can't dig up that thing and post it later. But one comment that one of the ex-Bungie devs made on Twitter, because I refuse to call it X, and I will continue to call it Twitter because, I'm sorry, Musk. Whatever you think of that name, it's a shit name. I'm just gonna say it. It's a shit name.
I have to
But
say it for what it is. It
never let
was
it be
shit.
said. We are unscripted, and therefore I can say whatever the heck I want. Also, this is my own show, so I can just say whatever the heck I want.
And we're not sponsored, so it doesn't matter.
Yep. And after what I just said, probably never will be. But
Our sponsorships are sponsorships. They exist and then they don't.
Anyway, one of the things that one of the ex-community team members said, and I think it was actually DMG who said this actually on his Twitter feed. So I gotta find if I can get that hooked up and post it for you. But one of the things he mentioned, if I can find it again, is that it's funny how he pointed out that he kind of made a soft blow at Bungie when he said that, I don't remember his exact words, so forgive me, it's been a while since I saw the tweet, but he basically unofficially called out Bungie for nailing the team for celebrating a win and not allowing them to celebrate it when it happens. If that makes any sense. At least coming from me.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it sounds like Bungie may have nailed their community support team for trying to celebrate a good thing and even punishing them for it. Which, yeah, that's not great optics. And again, this is just what DMG said on his account. He has since left Bungie and he believes works at Riot now. So, also free of Bungie's retribution. So, I personally trust DMG. He was a well-loved member of the community team for many, many years. So, I personally trust his opinion. Plus, it is an interesting optic when you look at it. I think Paul on his Twitter account, or not Twitter account, Paul Tassi on his YouTube channel commented on it. Maybe. Again, It's been a while since I looked into all this, but basically someone made an interesting observation. I think it might have been Paul, might have been someone else, that this does make sense in a way, because in previous award ceremonies, when Bungie has won things in the past, because they have won previous awards at the Game Awards in the past, you always see upper management accepting the award, never the actual team itself. Like, I think Bungie has gotten the community award a few times in the past, and never do you see the actual community team accepting the award. You see upper management.
True.
Just a weird observation some people have made, and I myself can confirm that exists because, like I said, I've seen the Game Awards for the last few years. That is true. You never see the team itself ever accepting that award. You always see upper management. Just, food for thought, I guess. Any commentary on that, Justin? I feel like your commentary would be interesting.
Suspicious.
Suspicious.
Nah. If the connection's there, like it's a little odd that like you'd think the community team would be there. Like I would say someone would have to look into it and see if the community team has ever been there for the awards and stuff. And if they have, then I guess it's not as warranted of a thing, but it's interesting.
I can certainly speak for the last few years because I have seen over the last few years the Game Awards, and I've never seen the teams there. I've always seen upper management, specifically two upper management guys come to mind. And
Yes,
that
there
is
always seems to be two. They truly do follow the Sith rule of two.
no comment on that, but it was always Luke Smith and I think the former ex-community director, or not the community director, creative director, I think it was. It was Luke Smith and oh my god, I can't remember his other name. I'm gonna have to look it up later. But basically, those two individuals do not technically work in the game anymore because they have moved up to what they would call franchise leads. Basically, they're in charge of Destiny as a franchise. Luke Smith was, I believe, the original game director or creative director, I can't remember which. And the other one was, well, the aforementioned either game director or creative director. Those two, like I said, however, have moved up to leading the franchise as a whole of Bungie, or of Destiny, not of Bungie. So to see them accepting the community award is a little weird because, like I said, yes, they're still involved in Destiny, but it's at a much more higher level. So, again, to see them accepting the award is a little odd. But, and for the record, I probably should also mention this. I should probably mention this at the beginning of videos too, but for those who are wondering, we sound a little bit unprepared with some of our material. We do this all unscripted.
Yes.
So sometimes we think of things.
Sometimes we'll take a moment and discuss. All right, what is it we're doing? What are some main points that we need to think about? Here's my thoughts on this. But yeah, no, we just go.
Yeah, we just gotta go, and sometimes we think of stuff that is good to mention, like midstream, such as what we're talking about now. And because I generally am the one who gets the R&D of the show done, whereas Justin is the lovely editor.
I am just background and video.
Yeah, Justin acts as our editor, and I act as the R&D department. So I admit sometimes I think of good stuff that we should mention that I did not get in advance, so that's an oof on me. But, tis the benefits of unscripted content, and at least it gives you guys a more authentic, unscripted experience.
Unscripted?
Good lord, this man is just, like, arcing all over the place.
Say hello to Ark. Yeah. Also, I have a knife on the wire there. Or not the wire, the fucking... what is... Chain. The chain. That is what it's called. I jumped up, threw my knife, and it hit the chain.
Yeah. But anyways. So, we are kind of... We think of some things that are good mid-show, and we don't get it. Or should I say I don't get it? Let's not hash words here. So, oof on me. But anyways. If the shoe fits, though, going back to the whole Bungie debacle... All in all, though, it's an interesting turn of events. Again, we'll see how this kind of plays out. I'm interested to see how the Game Awards plays out. Like, there are people memeing to heck and back about what they'll do if Bungie actually manages to get the award this year. Because remember, this is purely a nomination. They actually haven't been chosen yet. This is merely they've been nominated for it.
So that's where the memes are coming from then. It's because they've been chosen. It's because they've been chosen. That's what.
Well, You haven't heard of them all yet?
Well, no, I've heard of them. I was just wondering where they were coming from. I honestly thought at the time they were coming because because Bungie won or something. No, they're happening because Bungie is nominated.
Yeah. They've been nominated, they haven't won yet, and everyone is memeing to hell and back what they'll do if Bungie actually gets the award. All anyone will say is, and I think even some community director, or not community directors, ex-community staff members on, again, Twitter, I refuse to say X, have just been saying, I think one of them literally even said that if they get it, it's going to be the most awkward acceptance speech in gaming history. Because what are they going to say? I can just picture it now. Thank you, our dear community, for giving us this award. Because we have, done so great with our community as of late. It's going to be really awkward, I'm going to tell you that much. Recently, we've been having this weird issue where the Game Awards has just been crashed by random people. I think it started like a year or two ago when some random guy came up on stage mentioning, I think,
Yeah,
COD.
it was a guy who was kind of doing a bit of a protest. It was very weird, but
For COD things, my man. Like,
yeah.
generally, I'm passive about these things, but in this case, I just feel confused. Why of COD of all things? At least I think it was COD.
Uh, maybe.
But nonetheless, like I said, if there was ever a time to crash the Game Awards, all I'm gonna say is, if it happens, I ain't gonna be surprised. I won't approve of it, mind you. Let me just emphasize here. I'm not recommending any of our dear viewers go to the Game Awards this year and crash it.
Don't.
Don't do
It
it
is
because that's just in
illegal.
poor taste.
It is
All I'm
illegal.
all I'm gonna say though is that if it does happen, I won't be surprised. Maybe even get a good laugh at it. But besides the point. Yeah, we will see. Like I said, it's gonna be the weirdest acceptance speech in history if it does happen.
Yes.
And if it does, I will be laughing.
We'll have to see what happens. Like we really do, because, like we talked about, it's gone some interesting ways for Bungie as of lately.
It
But
has been.
moving on, Bungie has released a new release of information on what is coming next season, and as of currently, with new updates.
Uh-oh, he's talking about it.
Yes. They've well, you were talking about they were mainly changing things with stasis around, right?
One of the big things was stasis. Yeah, they're messing around with how stasis works. They're tweaking some of the subclasses. For those who don't know what the heck we're talking about, going back before, like I mentioned,
Twibber
Bungie has
Tawab.
weekly. Just so the audience knows what the heck we're on about. Bungie has weekly TWABs that they do. This is again one of the things that lends them to getting said community support award. And it again is updates on the game, what they're doing week by week, updates to balance changes, stuff like that. And in the most recent run, they introduced what they're going to do next season. And some of that does have to do with, again, aforementioned stasis. A bit of subclass tweaks. They're messing around with how Ward of Dawn and Blade and Dawnblade, not Dawnblade, Well of Radiance work. They're trying to increase those. Both of those will have their cooldown time increased, so it's like longer to pop them.
So it'll
They're trying to make
be
them more
interesting to
distinct.
see.
Yeah, they're trying to make them more distinct. Like one of the things they commented is that they're kind of upset with how, not upset, is that they're trying to make it so that Well of Radiance doesn't dominate PvE so much. I mean, I wouldn't say it
Here's the
dominates
thing.
PvE.
Here's the thing. You want to know how you do that? You bring back Ward of Dawn back to what it was, and at least give it like a sizable damage boost. But you have to like actually leave the ward in order to be able to utilize it. Because then that way it brings back a reason for Titans to use Ward of Dawn in endgame level activities again.
That's the thing, though, right? some people will say that Ward of Dawn is useful in like raids, but only when you're literally right on top of the boss.
Yeah, like you used to be able to kind of run like you'd run a ward and a well, and the well would the well would be used to protect people who are using the damage boost from the ward. Like it was a back and forth with the two, but that's not the case anymore because both provide the same amount of damage boost. So
Like, yeah, they're trying to make them less distinctive and make well dominate less. All I can say is it dominates because really the only viable option at the moment. It's not a result of like it's too powerful. It's not
out
too
of the
powerful.
two
It's the only
options, it's the better alternative out of the two.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those cases where it's like you're not you don't need to nerf the hammer because it's great with nails
No.
or because it's too good with nails. People no, let me rephrase that. That sounded terrible. People don't use the hammer a lot because it's
just because you have two different size hammers doesn't mean that they're more or less effective with different size nails. It just means that they fit into different areas better than like they work effectively for different nails.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say more along the lines of the hammer isn't powerful because it's powerful. The hammer is powerful because it's the only thing that works with nails.
Yeah, not everything's a nail.
Yeah. People don't use it a lot because there are a lot of people don't use the hammer because it's strong a lot. They use it because it's the only thing that works with nails.
Yeah. It's like there's a reason why you're guaranteed to always have a well in raids for the most part because it works.
Yeah. People, like if you want to make it dominate less in PvE, introduce more things that work in raids. Don't make less options.
Create more survivability options because that's kind of the reason why people use it.
This almost makes me remind me of like the memes people will say in Warframe, right? People go to DE and be like, X is stronger than Y. And then all they'll say is, ah, yes, X nerf incoming then. No, don't do that.
Yeah, nerfing the good thing that allows for better playability is very bad.
Like, this is starting to be like what DE will do, man. Just introduce more options to make and like raids viable. Like they want to have ward and well distinctive. My personal comment is that it's always really been distinctive. Like,
yeah, they've
well,
both been their own thing.
yeah, they're like they want to make them more distinctive. If you made them any more distinctive, you have to put them in another whole separate subclass just for themselves.
And I'll say this from my opinion of the two supers is the fact that it kind of made sense that ward would give you an extra damage boost because of the fact that all right, you're utilizing this damage boost, but by leaving the protection of the ward, you will be able to actually utilize that damage boost. So you're rewarded for your risk of leaving the ward. Like,
and that's the thing. Now you have the damage boost in the ward, and you have it while you're outside the ward, but it degrades with time, and after 3 seconds you lose it. Well,
yeah,
I almost say
like it degrades I think slightly faster, and the overall damage boost that you're provided is basically the exact same as a well, so there was no point anymore. So
yeah.
people no longer saw the reason of, all right, I will risk my survivability by leaving this bubble and instead just use this well.
Don't get me wrong, there is a place for Dawn. There is a place for Ward of Dawn. Don't get me wrong. Because it is good for defense. Don't get me wrong. It is
and
good
it
for
is
like
good for like boss rushes when you're right beside them.
Yeah, if the boss
specifically
is, like, right
bosses that are sitting like standing on the ground, but
yeah, if the boss is right beside you, then it's fine. Don't get me wrong, right? But in a lot of cases, the boss is very far away, and you can't shoot out of a Ward of Dawn because if you do, you'll just hit the well. You're just gonna hit the wall of the ward.
Yeah, and it'll do nothing, and it'll kill you if you're shooting a rocket or a grenade.
Yeah, best case scenario, it does nothing. Worst case scenario, you end up killing yourself. So,
More ways than one, it's not what you want to be doing.
they are tweaking they are tweaking stasis, though.
Yeah, you talked about they're changing some of the slowing mechanics and they're adding survivability. They're adding better survivability for people because people talked about how stasis was hard to survive with.
Right. One of the things they are adding in, and I think we should close out on this, or we're going to be here all night,
Yes.
is what time are we at anyway? Now that I mentioned
35.
50. Fuck. Good lord.
Not
Okay,
50, 30, 30, man, 30.
Oh, I thought you said
30!
50.
No, man, what the hell? Today I mathematics. Add 2 to 3.
Okay. Well, we'll close out of here anyways.
Yes.
Good lord. Uh, one of the things they are adding in is a new keyword, which is kind of one of the, kind of the archetype things that are unique to subclasses. So things like, Dawn, or not Dawn Blade, Solar has Restore, Cure, Scourge. Basically, some of the key things that come with the subclass.
Yeah, every subclass has some kind of attribute that boosts you.
Yeah, well, not boost, but sometimes debuff. Basically, the key concepts are
there's both a boost and debuff, but
anyway.
in this case, we're referring to boost.
Yeah. Anyways, in this case, details. The point is that they're adding a new keyword, and this one is going to be Frost Armor, which I believe you told me should go back to the drawing board naming-wise.
Yeah, they should. I don't know. The name sounds very weird to just call it Frost Armor, despite the fact that in more ways than one, stasis is nothing to do with any kind of crystalline freezing and is just actual crystal. So.
Well, it is crystalline freezing, don't get me wrong. I think they're playing on the whole ice motif again.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. It don't feel right, but nonetheless, it's kind of sounds like it's going to be kind of the same type of thing that Solar has with Restoration, only it's going to be an armor boost.
Nah, I would say a closer comparison would be the same thing they've got with Strand right now with the Strand armor.
True. Actually, that's probably what they're going to be basing it off of. I do wonder, however, how they're going to organize it because they technically already have that. So.
I mean, it's probably just another version for a different subclass, which is more of a like again. It didn't originally launch with this. This is just done because people say stasis survivability is hard if you're not running two specific aspects.
Which I don't think you can run too many aspects to begin with stasis. So
it depends on the actual fragments you have, or not fragments. If you're running two specific fragments, they're saying. My mistake. And I never found stasis was too difficult to survive with. It wasn't always the easiest, but it wasn't difficult. But then again, I coincidentally on the comment found that I was actually running one of those said fragments just by pure coincidence. So, I mean, what do I know, I guess? And those, funny enough, in case you're wondering, would be Whisper of Chains and Whisper of Rhyme, one of which grants you an overshield when you collect stasis shards, which, depending on your loadout, is pretty easy to get, and it refreshes every time you get a shard. And Whisper of Chains basically just makes you extra tanky whenever you stand next to a friendly stasis crystal, whether that be a frozen enemy or,
otherwise.
So,
like, there are survivability options, but it's narrowed down to forcing you to have to play certain styles.
Yeah, with one of those two things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that this is a bad decision, because like I said, what do I know? I ended up running one of those by accident. So I can't really speak to if it's difficult or not. But we'll see. like I said, it will be interesting.
I'll say this: the style for stasis in order to have like maximum shield up all the time is very ad control, and that doesn't particularly help you in like mid to high level content. So yeah, regular strikes maybe, but other than that, but nonetheless, that's kind of some of the changes that are going to be coming very soon and or now. So keep that in mind for you Destiny players. There's going to be a fair amount of changes to some of the mechanics that we know and love. Or
Right.
hate.
Word on the
No,
wind is that the
no love
Titans,
or hate.
well, word on the wind is that the Titans are going to get the raw end of the stick with one of their supers and their precious war banner. So,
Well, to be
ain't that
fair, the war banner was pretty strong, and everyone's admitting it's a little too strong. Like, there's no reason why two Titans alone can survive basically anything with that.
perhaps, perhaps. Again, I don't play Hunter or Titan, so I don't know. I play Warlock. Maybe you figured that out already, dear audience.
Perhaps,
Anyway,
perhaps. But
but
until
nonetheless,
next time, we'll probably the new season's coming out next week, so chances are either next week or the following week we will be going and doing some another Destiny related video on it. So keep that in mind for what will come next for the coming season.
true, true. Make no mistake, we're not Destiny content creators. It's just we play it a lot, and it's just easier sometimes.
And keep in mind, to be fair, Destiny is like the one game that in our belt that we have like the most common amount of news about it.
Yeah,
So Destiny kind of gets like the most amount of news that we constantly cover. That's not to say we wouldn't cover anything else all the time if we could, but that kind of requires those other games to have content and things going on all the time.
plus, it also has to do with me in a way. Like I said, I'm the show's R&D department, and I play a lot of MMOs. Like I wanted to cover something about Sea of Thieves recently, but I haven't played too much Sea of Thieves recently, so I need to go in and play all that content, which I finally finished.
The first chance this
But
man got, he went and pulled me into Destiny. So what does that tell you?
like
He'd
I
probably
said,
do the same with Warframe.
yeah, we could do the thing with Warframe. In fact, I'm planning to do the thing with Warframe. Fair
Fairly
message, audience. I'm probably gonna comment on the new Whispers in the Wall when it comes out. I just hope I qualify for the new expansion to the helmet, not the helmets, to Deimos, because I am technically not max rank with the family yet, so I hope that doesn't impact. I know that impacts on Fortuna, because you can't play the big boss on Fortuna unless you're max rank with Vox Solaris, of which I am not, so...
All the work, brother, all the work. You gotta go and collect that reputation, brother.
I know. I gotta sit there. It's not Vox Solaris. It's the other one. It's the Fortuna specific one, I think, actually. And I'm almost there.
There you go.
I just never really put too much emphasis on gaining reputation with the factions until I really realized that.
No,
And
hold on. Let me. I was gonna say, let me revive him because I can provide healing buff, which will be very useful at this moment.
Again, this is one of the reasons I am somewhat angry as a warlock. They kind of took away our healing abilities. They're giving everyone the ability to heal. They're kind of making me redundant.
Yeah, I'll be fair. This new aspect that I've got is it's not overpowered, but it is very convenient. I can only really utilize it in certain ways, but it is very convenient.
In the words of a certain South Park character,
they took my gun. They took my guns. They took my job. They took my healing.
You don't get it. Those who watch South Park, y'all get it. Y'all get it.
I was making a different joke, but alright.
Yeah, well. Anyways, that'll be all for us, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all have a good night. That's our commentary on the seasonal stuff when it comes to changes, when it comes to Bungie's Game Awards.
Well, we touched on a little bit of the Bungie changes, but this was mostly along the lines of the recent news with Bungie and the Game Awards.
Yeah, let me redo the ending then to be more com- to be more
Correct.
correct. That's our kind of opinions on the Game Awards, on the recent debacle revolving the Game Awards, those who got the Game Awards, and Bungie's recent awkward position they find themselves in. Like I said, I will most certainly be watching the Game Awards this year. Now I will most definitely. Well, I always watch the Game Awards, and
But
now
you're
I'm going to
very
go
inclined
elevate
to
my
want to
watch.
this time.
Yeah, I always watch it just out of posterity and interest, but now I am most definitely watching the Game Awards. Just to see who wins, and if they win, I will be laughing on my couch somewhere. But anyways, that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all have a good week. This is Nick, Justin, and the rest of us at the midweek office, which includes my console and his
Nobody.
PC cats.
Actually, no, it includes my cat who is laying down on a small cutout of an overall mattress. So there you go.
Currently, my cat's sleeping on the bed somewhere.
There you
But
go.
we'll see. Anyways, y'all have a good week, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye bye now.
Have fun.